Conceive, believe, achieve.
This is former UFC middleweight champion of the world, Michael Bisping.
Paddy the Baddy here. You're listening to Combat Sports UK.
And you're watching Combat Sports UK.
Hi everybody, welcome back to the Combat Sports UK podcast. This is your MMA preview for the weekend coming up, UFC, Sao Paulo. We're going to talk about some heavyweights, and no, not Francis Ngannou, but someone that has fought Francis Ngannou, funnily enough. Joined by the MMA Oracle. Congrats on the new channel, sir, and the new name, Nathan Shields. How are you, my friend?
The Octagon Oracle is the correct one. Thanks for the shout out, mate. But yeah, the Octagon Oracle is where it can be found. Not doing bad, mate. Chucked some picks out for the last weekend's fights on the Fury and Ngannou card. Went 7-0 with my picks. So, but then again, that is the world of boxing, mate. So, you know, there's a couple of little tricky ones in there, but outside of that, it wasn't too difficult to be honest. But yeah, look where there's no UFC. I'm just chomping at the bit for the following weekend. I can't wait to get back into the fights again. Just really looking forward to them.
Yeah, apologies. The Octagon Oracle it is. My bad there, my bad. I want to give you a little shout out. We support our own here at Combat Sports UK. One thing I will say, I do remember jumping on your boxing pod a couple of weeks ago when we talked about those who shall not be named. And you mentioned to me a little fix that sometimes happens in boxing where the red corner, more often than not, you're lucky to get decent odds. They're probably all going to win. And it happened on a card recently. I'm looking at this card and I'm seeing a combined
I know exactly where you're going.
I'm seeing a combined 10 losses for the Brazilian fighters on the main card. All Brazilian fighters included on the main card fights. A combined 10 losses. And 4 of those come from Ishmael Bonfim. So almost half come from one fighter anyway. An exciting card. One I'm looking forward to, just to be back in the UFC. And I just love it when they're in Brazil and they're shouting, "Vamos here!" at every foreigner that comes in the ring. I just think that's just wild. And they're always fun. Yeah. Let's go straight into it. Main event. Jason Almeida, Derrick, Black Beast, has a win over Francis Ngannou. Lewis, what are we saying about that fight, Nathan? How are you feeling about it?
Do you know what, mate? If I had not just seen what Francis Ngannou did to Tyson Fury, I'd be less hesitant to say what I'm about to say. But I'm still going to say it, but I am a lot more hesitant after what I've just seen, because what I said last week was that Tyson Fury wins that fight however and whenever he chooses to.
Correct.
Now, we've all watched the fight. We've all seen what happens. I wasn't on my own in saying something like that, but I was absolutely wrong. So I'm still going to stick to my guns and say Jason Almeida wins this fight whenever and however he wants. That being said, mate, we are talking about Derrick Lewis, the Black Beast, the guy with the most knockouts in UFC history. How many times have we seen him when you've got an up-and-comer that comes in there against him? You know, whether it was Daukaus or some of the other guys that he's faced, and they get on this incredible run and everyone starts saying how great they're looking, and they run into Derrick Lewis and it's over in the first couple of minutes because he just carries that natural power, mate. And Almeida's got to be careful. You know, he's a very, very talented fighter. You would think the key to victory would be to just get Derrick Lewis down there, out of his comfort zone. We've seen him struggle in those positions before. I think the Spivak one is probably one that I would point to, but he's suspect. But I think he's also at a stage, Derrick Lewis, where he doesn't really care too much whether he does. I think he's kind of just here enjoying the ride. I don't think he's got any real aspirations. I don't think he's got anything necessarily driving him other than getting paid, and he loves a scrap. And I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing for Jason Almeida, if I'm completely honest. I really don't know, because he's just so unpredictable, isn't he, Derrick Lewis?
Yeah, he is, and it's something you can never count him out of. I always remember that was a few years back now, the Volkov fight where he's losing 3.5 rounds and just comes out of nowhere with a haymaker. His balls were hot afterwards, just absolute legend material written all over him. And then, you know, he's gone on a back and forth run since then. I think in preparing this fight, it was a lot of fun to go back and watch these two. You know, you watch Derrick Lewis's last fight against another Brazilian kind of up and comer, I suppose. Even though he was 38, he was starting to build a bit of a name for himself in the division. Was Rogerio de Lima. Derrick Lewis just comes out flying knee, bang, knocks him down, smashes him, takes his back and just bashes him, and that's it. Job done. New contract. Thank you very much. I'll take that. So yeah, you just never know what you're going to get with him. You never know what you're going to get.
Well, I heard something earlier, mate, where it was. I think he's got the most main events in UFC history for a fighter that has never won the title. And I think it's something like 10 main events.
Yeah.
People would have to fact check that, but I'm sure he's had 10 main events, Derrick Lewis. And that's the highest amount that anybody has ever had that hasn't been a world champion. I think that just speaks volumes to his style and his personality, because he's just, you can't blink during a Derrick Lewis fight. You just can't, unless it's against Francis Ngannou, you can't blink.
And speaking about that, because with his main events, he's kind of dropped the bag, fumbled the bag, so to speak. That's the word of the week. Fumbled the bag in his biggest one, right? The ones he's had in Texas. Do you think he's taken the furthest fight from Texas he possibly could without actually having to go that far away? I think that's what he's doing here in the hope that he breaks the curse.
Yeah, I mean, but you hear it regularly, don't you? People say, don't put Derrick Lewis back in Texas.
Exactly.
Let him fight anywhere else, because he just seems to freeze up, doesn't he, in front of their own crowd. And I think maybe just being away from home, I don't know, maybe it just brings a different energy to him. And to be honest, you know, walking in there, we know what that Brazil crowd's like. The atmosphere is going to be electric. Everyone's going to be against him, heavily against him, despite him being, you know, a fan favorite. I don't know if he fumbles that or does he kind of ride that wave? You know, I'm really not sure, because like I said, Derrick Lewis is just so unpredictable. It's anybody's guess, mate. I did the preview for Derrick Lewis, you know, that will be coming out in one of our articles this week, and I was looking at it and I'm thinking, I've got Almeida all day, but I kind of said it in there, like, if this fight ends in the first minute of the first round via Derrick Lewis knockout, I won't even be moderately surprised. I just won't. Because even though I don't think he wins this fight, there is a massive chance that that's what happens. I'm just looking here in the American market, he's a plus 360 underdog. Jailton Almeida is a minus 470. So it tells you where the bookies are leaning with this. But it gets me onto a topic of thinking, if you backed Derrick Lewis in every fight that he's been an underdog over his professional career, how much money would you have won? Because there's been lots of those big fights, isn't there, where he's been not favoured to do it and he's just come out with a knockout. Derrick Lewis knockout when he's an underdog is printing money almost, but I'm not sure I fancy him this time.
Yeah, and it's frightening stuff. And you know, the guy across from him has all the skills, which I'm sure is what you've alluded to in the article, is all the skills that will upset Derrick Lewis. Fast starter, grappler, submission artist. He's got ground and pound on his record as well in the UFC against Abdurakhimov. Other than that, it's rear naked chokes with dominations in the first round, all of which spell trouble for Derrick Lewis. Now, I watched, before we jumped on for the Ngannou Fury pod, I watched the Jailton Almeida Rosenstruik fight. And he takes him down pretty handily. I think he stuffs the first one, Rosenstruik, and then he takes him down. And then from there on, he just works position. And I remember seeing a kind of collection of videos of Derrick Lewis just standing up. Jiu-jitsu doesn't work. Derrick Lewis just stands up. And I'm looking at that thinking, you know what? Like, Jailton Almeida actually didn't look that big against Rosenstruik. And Derrick Lewis comes in big. You know, he comes in a big boy. Apparently, he's fixed his cardio. He's been saying that for years. Who knows? You know, if that first exchange happens and Almeida manages to take him down and Derrick Lewis does his just stand-up jiu-jitsu, could that change the course of the fight? Is that his chance? Is that what he's got to do? You know, there's positions where he's in side control. He's being dominated in side control, and he just boom, stands up. Is that what he's got to do? Do you think?
I think, yes, if you're Derrick Lewis, I think that's exactly what you've got to try and do, because he's not technically going to fight the submission attempts. That's just not going to happen. If you're Jailton Almeida, I think once you get him down, you just keep hold of him. The reality of the situation is, if he's got him and he's got hold of Derrick Lewis can't hit him. And if he can't hit him,
That's true.
Can't hurt him. So if I'm Jailton Almeida, regardless of whether they're up on the feet or whether they're down on the floor, I think you just wear him down. You test that cardio, you keep him locked in. You keep searching for the submissions. If Derrick Lewis slips up, bang, done. This is going to be over. I favour this to be over in the first round. If I'm honest, that would be my pick. I really fancy Almeida just to get this done. I think we just see Derrick Lewis get caught in the headlights a little bit too often sometimes, and I think at the very, very top level against the very, very top guys, he's nearly always fallen short. And I really rate Jailton Almeida highly. But one thing we might find out, and I hope we do find out, is what that chin's like. Because if he gets hit with Derrick Lewis, we'll find out one way or another. That's for sure.
Yeah, gotta see him tested. I mean, I'm leaning towards the same as you for the result of the fight, but it breaks my heart. There are certain fighters you just can't pick against and don't want to pick against. Dan Hooker being another one. Robert Whittaker for me as well. I never want to pick against the guy because I just love him. He's just a legend. Derrick Lewis is one of those, but I just can't help but pick against him in this one. Like, I can't see, unless he does his stand-up jitsu and Jailton Almeida goes, oh no, I've never had this before, and then gets cracked. That's when we could see a different outcome. But I think he's going to use his speed. I think he's going to get him down. I think he's just going to outspeed him. He's going to completely confuddle Derrick Lewis, and then just find something to finish the fight in that first round.
I think you're right, mate. I think the only thing we need to remember, of course, is that every fight starts on the feet.
Yes.
So that favours the striker, and the striker is without a shadow of doubt Derrick Lewis. So in an attempt to get Derrick Lewis down to the floor, he has to be within punching distance. So there's always a chance with Derrick Lewis. So I wouldn't be surprised with anything. In fact, that's a lie. I would be surprised if this goes the full distance. If this goes the full 5 rounds, that will surprise me, but I can't see it in any shape. I see that this will be over in round 1. One way or another.
I think that is one fair way to put it. I mean, the flying knee's there, right? We know Jailton's going to shoot. The knee is there for Derrick Lewis. That's probably the only way. So, yeah, it could be a coming out party for Jailton Almeida. And then we can touch more on that in the review, because it'll kind of tie in nicely into the preview for what's happening next week with our very own Tom Aspinall. But let's jump into that co-main event. Gabriel Bonfim of the Bonfim brothers and Nicholas Dalby. Bonfim's 15-0 at welterweight. Is this same as main event? Do you see it going that way?
No, I don't. I think Nicholas Dalby is as game as they come. And I also think that if you look at Nicholas Dalby's record, it doesn't necessarily speak to him as a fighter. He's taken his licks along the way, sure, but you've got to be a hell of a talent, I think, if you're going to beat Nicholas Dalby and do it comfortably at least. So, yes, I think Gabriel Bonfim is a hell of a fighter, and I would favour him to win this, but he may not have it all his own way. It's an interesting knock. The bookies certainly don't think so. Again, just got it loaded up here. Bonfim minus 520.
Wow, so
with the bookies over in the States. So huge betting favourite coming into it. Yeah, huge betting favourite. In fact, he is the biggest favourite on the entire card to win. But like I said, I think he will win the fight. I'm not picking against him, but I think Nicholas Dalby will show us maybe a different level to Gabriel Bonfim, because he will have to go there to get his hand raised.
So maybe 2 rounds. maybe not the first round, maybe 2.
Maybe 2.5 tops.
Maybe 2. Yeah. I mean, Dalby's on a win streak. He's on a three fight win streak. Those being by decisions, a split in there, I think, as well. He's one of those. He's always kind of there and thereabouts in a division. You're gonna get a hard fight out of him. I just think.
Yeah.
I think depending on how the crowd is and how the fights have gone before, it could be one of those nights where, like we had in London in March, like they had in Paris, where the home fighters just pick up momentum and they just roll. And I can just see this being a bit of a steamroller for Nicholas. Unfortunately, I think Bonfim's going to come out really looking to make a statement in that division. There's a lot happening with a lot of the young fighters in there. We talk about them all the time, so we don't need to go over our old ground. But Bonfim's another one. Everyone's very excited about him. Yeah. If it wasn't in Sao Paulo, I would probably lean.
And rightly so.
Be a struggle, but I think with it being there, and with, like we alluded to earlier, that that only 10 losses to the Brazilian fighters on the main card, I think it's set up. Yeah. To be honest, so no, I'm going Bonfim.
It has a tendency to roll, doesn't it? Yeah. Well, where do you want to go next then, mate? If we're going to keep talking about these Brazilian nails.
What's your prediction on that one? Are you going Bonfim as well, or do you think?
I'm going to go Bonfim. Yeah. No, I think Bonfim wins it. I think we potentially see this one go the distance, but I would favour Bonfim to get his hand raised. I just think he'll have to show us something a little bit more.
Yeah. So who we've got also Rodrigo Nascimento and Dontel Mays. That's a heavyweight fight also. Rodrigo Nascimento kind of going under the radar a little bit. He's just on the outside of the top 15. I don't believe he's ranked.
Yeah.
What's your take on him so far? 10-1?
It says here he's ranked 15.
Ranked 15, okay.
Just in there.
Just in there,
yeah. This one's actually an interesting fight, mate, because I believe Mayers is coming off the win against Arlovsky last. I think.
Yep.
So, these guys are coming in. I think Nascimento is going to take this one, if I'm honest. But it's an interesting scrap for sure. And I've got to be honest, mate. We all love the talent and the skill in the UFC, don't we? But it's always nice to see a couple of heavyweights knocking the shit out of each other. It's just something different. It just brings something different. And when those big guys are in there and they're towering above the octagon and sort of the shoulders here and kind of above the top of the octagon, you just see it. You think, wow, these are absolute specimens. I just love it. I just love to see them. But which way are you leaning on it? What's your thoughts?
I'm leaning towards Rodrigo. This is a rematch. So Rodrigo's beaten him before by rear naked choke. They've had a couple of cancelled bouts as well. So yeah, I'm leaning towards him. I don't know how he's going to get it done. I think this one could be a bit of a back and forth decision. I could see him maybe picking up 2 out of 3 rounds, and maybe Dontel Mays kind of having a bit of a resurgence, maybe in round 2, maybe in round 3. But no, I see another Brazilian win. I think still keeping up the clean sheet. I think the more interesting ones we're going to get to, maybe the first fight on the card. I know the second on the card, actually. It's quite a big main card, actually. 6-fight main card. So, yeah, Rodrigo.
Yeah, I mean,
what about you?
I'm going to go the same way, mate. I think he gets it done, and I think that makes us 3-0, doesn't it, for the Brazilians on the card so far. And I'm just looking at the fight before that. Chao Borralho is on there against the guy who just lost to the undisputed middleweight champion of the world, Sean Strickland.
Yeah.
Now,
trains
yes,
here,
he
actually.
was blitzed.
Trains here in Düsseldorf, where I live.
Right, okay. Yeah, it's an interesting one, isn't it? Because I would have to favour Chao. I think he's such an exciting talent. I really want to see him pick up another win here. I mean, Abus last time out was looking pretty decent, wasn't he, against the champion of the now champion of the world?
Yeah.
He
first round.
just blew out of steam in that first round. So the talent and the abilities there, but it just makes you wonder. It almost made me wonder, Taylor, when I saw that fight, whether, because these are professional fighters, right? They train their arse off. They're in great shape. They do this for a living. There's nothing else in the world other than this to them. And the way he went in that first round made me wonder whether he'd had a knock in training or in his, in camp, whether something wasn't quite right and he maybe hadn't been able to maybe do the runs or he hadn't been able to do whatever. And he just thought maybe he wasn't fit to do the 3 rounds, the 5 rounds, sorry.
Yeah.
Maybe he just didn't have it in him and he just thought, I'm just going to empty the tank and try and blitz Sean Strickland. And he just gassed. He just threw everything in the first and then was absolutely blowing out of his arse and there for anybody to take, wasn't he?
Yeah, I think that's a really good take, actually. I think that's a really good take. I hadn't considered it before, but now you're saying it does explain why he dropped off so dramatically in that second round. Because that first round he blitzed him and he almost had Sean, pretty close to being finished, unless Sean was playing a bit of possum or rope-a-dope with him. I don't think so. But yeah, I mean, look,
well, this is what I mean though. Like, if you or me go in there and we, fight for the first 5 minutes and then we're blowing out our ass in the second, you go, okay, fair enough. You'd expect that, But when you look at somebody like Abus and he's in there and you just think, it just always brings me back to the Bisping thing with Rockhold when he had that win, when he won the title there, because we've heard him talk on numerous occasions where Bisping said he didn't feel like he had the cardio to go the full 5 rounds, or it would be a slog the full 5 rounds because he took it on late notice.
Yeah,
and he just thought, do you know what, I'm going to go in here and I'm going to try and blitz him, and that's exactly what he did. Yeah. So it just makes you wonder whether there was something like that, whether it was a knock or what have you, and he just wasn't. He just felt his only chance was to go early. Hopefully that was the case, because if not, it just shows terrible management on his behalf. And if he does that here, he'll be in real bother because Chow will wipe him out.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's going to happen anyway. I think Chow is the next generation of psychopaths to come into the UFC.
Yeah, completely agree.
With his tattoos and his glasses, he looks intimidating. He looks like he'd just straight up murder you, like for nothing. I mean, he's just, like you said, he's an incredible talent, and again, something maybe the division needs somebody to really explode through those rankings and put it on somebody like an Abus who's got a name because of the Sean Strickland fight, and he was kind of almost looked as a bit of a boogeyman of the division. So yeah, I think I see it pretty similar to you that Chow's gonna go from. And speaking of gas tanks and gas in, Rodolfo Vieira, poor guy, never gets that first fight lived down, does it? Was it the second fight in the UFC anyway? But he gassed big time.
It did. I mean, we're now 4-0 for the Brazilians, and I'm gonna take this one to 5-0 for me. I actually think he gets this done. I'm a little bit hesitant in saying that, and again, I'm just looking at the odds next to me. They've got Rodolfo Vieira is -108, and Petrosian is -112. So the bookies can't split this. They've got Vieira as a very marginal underdog, but I'm not so sure. I like Petrosian. I think he's a talent, a real talent, but I just feel like Rodolfo Vieira is a big dude, man.
He's a big boy.
He's a big old boy, and if he's managing that gas tank and they get into those exchanges, I fancy him to get it done. I really do. I think it's a great fight, this one. Not just because the betting odds are very close, but I really see this one as being a real good fight. Really excited about it, to be honest.
So am I. Rodolfo is a really exciting dude. Like no matter what way you look at it, he is a really exciting dude, and he's learning all the time, I think, with his MMA game, and he's always got that jiu-jitsu to go to. I mean, we kind of go on.
No, I was just going to say, I think it was Cody Brundage, wasn't it, last time out? Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
I think Cody Brundage was the victory there. And again, Cody Brundage is no mug, really. So he's showing he's got the talent at a higher level as well. So
yeah, I think he's got to look to make a statement as well. Whether it's on the feet or on the ground. He's just exciting. You just like exciting fighters. He's got a story. He's absolutely jacked. Like if he's not on steroids, USADA are doing something wrong, because he does not look normal. So we're going for a 5-0
definitely
so
not.
Going for a 5-0.
Yeah, I think that takes us to 5-0. Yeah, and
first fight on the main card. The other. Don't know what the fuck happened there.
Welcome back.
Don't know what happened there anyway.
You were
Yeah,
really
last
breaking
fight.
up, but it did say that my signal was really poor. So that was earlier, though. It's not done it since, so it could be a bit of both, mate. But it
All
cut off my end where you were just saying, "Have we got it at 5-0?" And I said, "Yeah, 5-0."
Okay, so then
So I
I'll
think you were going to
restart there.
say,
Yeah.
"We're going 6."
Are we going 6, and then we'll do OKTAGON, and then we'll get out of here. Okay, so it will just go
Yeah, no
silent, so I can
worries.
cut it off. So, question is, are we going to go 6-0? 6-0 to the Brazilians in Sao Paulo. Ishmael Bonfim against Vince Pichel. I'm going to say that's how you say it. Could be wrong. Vink, I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I think so, mate. I do. It's an interesting one, isn't it? Because I think both of these are coming in off a loss.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I could just quickly check, but I think Bonfim was against Benoit Saint Denis,
Yeah.
which, let's be honest, given what we've just seen from him, is absolutely nothing to be ashamed of.
No, an animal.
You know, and Pitchell's coming in. And who was it? Who was his loss against? Just having a quick look there. That's it. Madsen had the loss to Madsen. So
Okay,
you know,
Madsen,
again, difficult opponents for them both. But I feel like Ismail Bonfim's been at a much higher level. I expect him to get the job done here, and yeah, I've got 6-0 at this point.
Same, yeah, 6-0. I'm anticipating a bit of a finish as well. Yeah, I mean Marco Madsen's always a tough fight, and then yeah, I mean you're gonna struggle. I think that's a great fight to open the main card. I think it'd be exciting. These Bonfim brothers are really exciting, and they're a lot of fun to watch. We've got a couple of Brit interest. Well, an adopted Brit and Modestas Bukauskas in his second stint in the UFC, doing pretty well. You know, he's come back, and I think
Yeah.
he's now 2-0 against Tyson Pedro, who I like a lot. I really like Tyson Pedro and Zach Puga. Puga. What do you think about Modestas against another Brazilian? Guess what? This Brazilian's undefeated as well. So
yeah, I mean he is. I'm gonna go with Modestas Bukauskas, and he's a betting underdog. He's plus 210, but I don't know, something just seems to have clicked with him. You know, he obviously had his disappointments, and he's come back. And look, I'm really looking forward to seeing him. He's got his back against the wall here, but it wouldn't be Modestas Bukauskas if that was the case.
yeah, absolutely.
You know, it's what he seems to do nowadays. You know, whether it's going over to fight the Pedros in Australia or whether he's got other plans. You know, he's a bad dude. I hope he gets it done, because he's just one of those people where, you know, it seems like I know all these guys are fighting for something, but he really seems like he's got the bit between his teeth and wants to do something good here.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And to be fair, there's not a lot I can add to that, really. Just other than I hope Modestas Bukauskas picks up the victories. I've spoke to Lewis Glover, who's interviewed him for us a couple of times, and they've kind of chatted off camera. And he just says he's just such a good dude, such a nice guy. Really, really, really deserves the success. So that's what I hope. I hope Bukauskas can pick up the win. He's traveling far, you know, going into enemy territory against an undefeated fighter. And then we've got the mercurial Mark Jacasey opening the card according to Tapology at the moment against Cal Fernandez. Guess what? He's only got one loss, and he's Brazilian. So
yeah,
you've seen a theme here.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Mark Jacasey is from my neck of the woods, and I've always, you know, followed him and wanted him to do well. And he kind of, you know, when he first started, he was such an exciting talent. You know, he was so crazy kicks, crazy punches, back elbows, everything. He was just such a nasty guy. And then he got wrestle fucked.
Yeah.
And then he decided he didn't want to ever be in that predicament again. And then he went away and worked on his wrestling and became a wrestler.
Yeah. He's very close to getting cut as well, right?
Yeah, and the problem with that is I think it tells you where he's at, the fact that he's opening this card.
Yeah.
He's one, in my opinion, I think Mark Jacasey is one loss away, because the problem with him is he's lost his identity a little bit. You know, if you're an exciting talent going in there, knocking people out or being knocked out, look at Derrick Lewis.
Yeah.
You don't have to be a champion. You don't have to win every fight. If you're exciting, the UFC will keep you. But he's kind of gone away from that a little bit, and I'd like to see him try and reinvent himself a little bit and come back as a more well-rounded fighter, because I think he just seems like a confidence fighter at the minute, and I think that confidence is just shot to bits.
Yeah.
He really needs to just realise, this is his last chance saloon, and throw caution to the wind and just go for it in, true Mark Diakese style. And, don't worry about what's coming back. If you get caught and you get submitted, that's this game, But you can't just sit on the fence wondering if it is going to happen or if it isn't going to happen. You've got to go.
You do. I mean, my opinion on this is I think the UFC want to cut him. I think they wanted to the first time round off his 3 losses. I think he's been, very fortunate to be in the position that he's in, and he's racked up. He got a couple of wins, bounced back. He's now on a couple of losses, and I think the UFC have kind of said, okay, opening the cards against the Brazilian in Brazil. He's 8-1, this Brazilian, and I think they're just kind of feeding into the wolves a little bit, which I think you put it really well. Like, he was so exciting to watch to begin with, so fast twitch muscle fibers, just filling up the octagon, and he was just really, really exciting. Then he got wrestled, and now he's back to that, trying to bore his way to fights. Really, it didn't work. It worked against him last time because he got submitted, and I think this time round, I think he'll get stopped as well. To be honest, I think he'll get stopped pretty handily. I don't think this is going to go well for him. I hope it does. I really, really hope it does, because I like him. I like watching him fight, and I want to see him turn it around. But I think the UFC is setting him up here. So another Brazilian win.
Yeah, I mean, I hope you're wrong, but I can't disagree with you just based off what I've seen recently. I mean, one that I did want to point out, mate, we have got a welterweight scrap on this one. Elizeu Zaleski dos Santos is taking on Rinat Fakhretdinov. Now, if you remember, Fakhretdinov is the guy that just retired Kevin Lee. So
that's the guy.
Excited about him. Excited about him, mate. He's currently ranked at number 15, and he looks like a nasty talent. But he's been in there with some top guys as well. Yeah, he's 21-1, and I believe that loss
2014. Igor Spirit.
Who was it to as well? Yeah. So, I mean, if you look at him there, his last 3 wins that I'm looking at on here who's obviously fighting in the final of that for going on to retire Kevin Lee. So talking about a dangerous man, dangerous man. I'm excited to see what he can do.
Yeah, and he's a Brazilian as well, and he's a Brazilian. So basically, for this card, look out for the Brazilians. I think there's a Brazilian in pretty much every fight. Yep, pretty much every fight. Every fight there is a Brazilian. So yeah, look out for the Brazilians, essentially. Just before we wrap up, I want to direct everyone's attention to Octagon 48, going down in Manchester on Saturday night. Myself and the legend that is Lewis Glover we're going to be there on the ground, taking in some of the Octagon. It's going to be my 3rd Octagon event. Really, really excited to get down there, to get on the ground on Saturday. They run an incredible show. Tickets are still available, still relatively cheap as well. I think 20 quid. They're going for 19 quid.
There's £19, I think.
Yeah, £19. There's some really good knocks on there. We've got Aaron Abbey, the Welsh interest. If you don't know his story, I won't go over it too much because Brian, Lacey, and Lewis cover it on the Octagon pod, which is on our channel. That's a hell of a story. That's the inaugural flyweight fight. Other ones to look out for: Akon Wanlist, the Jedi. We've got a couple of interviews with him. The stage to the cage, Jake Quickton and Paul Smith jumping in there. That's going to be an interesting one. These lads have been training for a year, jump in and fight each other. Jack Cartwright making his debut on there. The Octagon Challenge final.
Shamrock.
Shamrock also. He's always exciting. Fighting a police officer, that's got quite the narrative. They've been going back and forth online. It's fun, man. It is fun.
Yeah.
George Staines and
And
Frimpong.
Scotty Askins on there as well.
Yeah, Scotty Askin. Lee Chadwick in his retirement fight. I spoke to him for the website, so that's on our YouTube. And in the Octagon Challenge final, that's going to be a hell of a fight. I tell you right now, George Staines and Dennis Frimpong, they've been going at each other. Frimpong just talks mad trash. He's going after George's family, everything. There is nothing that he's leaving behind. So check that out. If you
Bad
haven't
blood,
watched
to say the least.
yeah, very bad blood. And yeah, it'll be an amazing card. It'll be a lot of fun. If you can, get yourself down to Manchester. If not, we'll be covering it all for the website. Yeah, really looking forward to it. And if you're of the Muay Thai persuasion, Jonathan Haggerty's also fighting Saturday night, I believe, for one championship. He's well worth a watch. Very, very exciting fighter, and he's doing great things in one championship. So that's been us, Nathan, for the last couple of hours. Well, to you, this will be one episode, but hey ho. Thanks for your time, mate. the Brazilian domination. Let's see
No
if it
problem
happens.
at all. Well, I think we've seen that, you know, these fight nights are starting to become a little international fight nights are starting to be a little this way, mate, aren't they? You know, we've seen it in Paris with all the French talent in there, and this is just another Brazilian coming out party for some of these guys. But I think it's going to be a fun one, this one. I see a lot of finishes on this card. And the ones where I'm struggling to pick a win, you know, where I'm not seeing a finish, look like absolutely superb fights. So, yeah, it's one of those fight nights not to miss, because this one's probably going to go under the radar, but it's definitely one not to blink.
Yeah, loads of action coming our way this weekend. The Octagon Oracle, thank you very much. Appreciate it. Go check out Nathan's channel. He's putting up a lot of good content on there. Go check out ours as well. We've got loads of interviews I will have linked in the show notes for today, leading you towards Octagon 48. Nathan, thanks for your time this evening, mate. And we'll catch up next week where we do have a massive card to go over.
Yes, we do.
All right.
Thank you,
mate. See
you
all then. Enjoy the fight. Cheers.